Now, ultimately, when I think about automation, I think a lot about process. And I think about all the processes that we do day in and day out. They're very robotic in nature, where we're doing step after step after step. So that leads us to our workflows product. The way that we think about workflows is imagine taking an offline process, digitizing that process, and then assigning steps to that process directly to the Capacity Bot. So here we've got our workflow editor with employee onboarding, loan creation, loan origination. I can click on loan origination. It'll take me through all the steps of that process, credit bureaus, approvals, etc. Go over here on the left, and I can add a workflow within the workflow. I always like to joke around. It's like those Russian dolls where you have the doll within the doll within the doll. This is really helpful when you've got a process that's embedded in a bigger process that's embedded in a larger process. So in this case, we put the loan creation process within the loan origination process itself. Now I'm going to go over and add a new task to this workflow. And again, you could add comments, actions, guided conversations, notifications, you name it. So in this particular task, we are going to send the closing disclosure at the end of the loan. I'll fill in the description, assign it to Isabel on my team. I hit create. Now we've assigned that to Isabel. Go back up to the top of the workflow, turn this thing on. Now if I go back to my main workflow screen, we can see that Amy Anderson has applied for a loan and she's 3/4 of the way through the process. Not only that, but we can also identify all of the time it is taken for each one of these steps. This task has been in progress for 15 minutes. On average, it takes an hour to complete. It's taken 3 days from the beginning of the workflow to get here. So if you want to know what are your choke points, what are your bottlenecks, we're going to give you full transparency into what that looks like. When I click on View Ticket Details, we'll now jump over to our help desk where we can see all the tickets that are assigned to Isabel, including this one. We can see the status, the created by, the priority, the tags. I can go click on one of these embedded actions. We've now set this to resolved, and now I can go on my merry way. Now, if we could take these tasks that you have and put a help desk behind it, that's awesome. But the real opportunity for Lyft is to convert these individual tasks into tasks that are assigned to the Capacity Bot. So instead of assigning this to Isabel, we're going to reassign this task to Capacity. We'll do that through that dev platform we talked about earlier, where we've got all these little hooks and skills come right out of the box. Now I can put in the from, the to, the subject, and the body, and even populate it with information from earlier on in the workflow. I go hit create, scroll down, and you can see this task, instead of being assigned to Isabel, it's now assigned to Capacity and linked back to the Gmail integration. Now fast forward a couple steps and stages, we think there's an opportunity to automate as much as 70% of your workflows by assigning those tasks directly to the Capacity Bot.